Hi, this is Dr. Vipin Kalia. Today is March 28th, 2020. And as you're aware, we are unfortunately in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic. And in my estimation, the advice that was being given to the healthcare workers, healthcare providers, and general public to protect themselves from the coronavirus had some scientific blind spots. And since this information was critical enough, I decided that whatever my different perspective is, if it can save lives, I'm going to share my perspective. And that's the reason I decided to launch this coronavirus pandemic Terminator program. Just a brief background on me. My name is Dr. Vipin Kalia, and my last name is Kalia. So my name is Dr. Kalia. And since I was born and raised in a different culture on the Indian subcontinent, my name is somewhat difficult to pronounce and remember. My first name is Vipin, and if you remember, B for very, I for important, P for person, I for Indiana. So if you remember the mnemonic, very important person in Indiana, then Vipin becomes easiest to remember. And just a little background on me. I have a bachelor's in chemistry from Purdue University, and I graduated in 1988. And I have a MD degree or a Doctor of Medicine degree from IU School of Medicine, and I graduated from there in 1992. And I have a postgraduate training in internal medicine from IU Med Center / IU School of Medicine, and I graduated from there in 1995. And I have been practicing medicine in central Indiana since 1995. And I'm not quite sure if my camera captures the insignia on my jacket. If it does, I'm not representing any university, any medical center, or any national, local organization. I'm just talking on my own behalf as a healthcare provider in central Indiana and as a doctor. So please do not pay attention to any insignia on my jacket. And so I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression that I'm representing anybody over here. And unfortunately, at home, I did not have any blank white jackets without any insignias. So a little bit about Namaste. I'm sure a lot of the people around the world have heard the word Namaste. And if you go on Google or Apple's emojis, a sign like this pops up called Namaste. So in the Indian subcontinent, where there are about 1.2 billion people, there are 1.2 billion people who use the greeting called Namaste. What Namaste means is, Nama means the divine in me, greets the divine in you. So in the Indian subcontinent, when people greet each other with the word Namaste, that in itself is a full-fledged, adequate greeting. And you do not need to extend your hand, shake hands, or do anything. And the reason I think this is important in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic, we in the Western culture are used to shaking hands and greeting each other. However, that greeting in the shaking hands has its roots in the medieval times in Europe, where people were afraid that they were going to stab each other or with a hidden weapon. So this was a one mechanism where you showed your hand up front and shook your hands, and that's how all the deals are made. In nice non-coronavirus pandemic times, shaking hands in a business environment or banks probably is acceptable, but right now I've seen people trying to do elbow bumps, knee bumps, fist bumps, bumping each other's feet against each other, but all those things have potential downsides. So let's accept the greeting from the Indian subcontinent called Namaste. And fortunately, this Namaste was recently made more famous by Prime Minister Modi's visit to India, to Texas. A few months back, Prime Minister Modi came to United States to visit, and he was greeted by President Trump in Texas. And in Texas, as you know, we call howdy for hello, and so the event was named Howdy Modi. However, President Trump went back to visit India in February, and Prime Minister Modi and the Indian population returned the favor by hosting an event in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, in India called Namaste Trump. And Namaste became a greeting of Indian subcontinent, greeting President Trump. And please watch those videos of YouTube videos of President Trump being greeted in India with the event called Namaste Trump. So that has become an acceptable greeting format. And the reason I like the greeting of Namaste, that this kind of follows the motto of all our national parks. And if I remember correctly, I think I remember this greeting motto from the Yellowstone National Park. You leave nothing and you take nothing. So in this form of greeting Namaste, you exchange no bacteria, viruses, pathogens, and you leave nothing and you take nothing. So let's all start saying Namaste forever in the whole world over, and that would have more hygienic advantages and would not transmit diseases, especially infectious diseases. And in this slide, those of you who can see Namaste Trump, there are these links on Wikipedia and on different newspapers, and the Guardian newspaper on February 24th. The event organized in Ahmedabad in Modi's home state of Gujarat on Monday afternoon was pinnacle of Trump's visit to India, and the event was named Namaste Trump. So let's all start saying Namaste to each other rather than shaking hands, because shaking hands really transmits diseases. Since I am a doctor by training, and the word doctor in Greek also means teacher, and I take people from all walks of life, including medical students who have undergraduate degrees who do not have full medical training. And I try to convert their mind into scientific medical training. And all my patients, I have taken care of very famous, rich and famous educated patients, and also on the other end of the spectrum. But I try to convert medical science into a format that everybody can understand. So I try to bring that detailed medical scientific knowledge to everybody's level. So this presentation is for general audience. However, I would have useful information for scientists, medical doctors, providers, surgeons, healthcare providers, and general public. So you are going to have to be patient. But since being a teacher, I can't explain complex concepts in just 2 words or 2 sentences, so you are going to have to be patient. But those of you who are on the less patient side and are wondering what is this presentation about, some doctor from Indian origin teaching us about Namaste, the main thing I'm going to focus is personal protective equipment. And the main ingredients of personal protective equipment that have to be there are PAPRs, or pressurized air purified respirators, and then along with biohazard suits. So that's going to be the crux or the of my talk, or the gist of my presentation. So those of you who are impatient are welcome to just get to that section, but that's going to be the gist of my talk. My solution to this problem, to keep the coronaviruses away from people's lungs, noses, eyes, body, etc., is for all of us to use filtered air through positive or pressurized air purified respirators, and then wear some kind of special gloves. So whenever we are touching areas contaminated, we are not relying just purely on washing hands and using hand sanitizers, because you can only use that so many times. And if the whole contact surface is contaminated, that really becomes very difficult to do every couple of seconds. And then, of course, along with the PAPR, I'm recommending a whole body suit similar to the hazmat suits people wear, along with the hood on their covering their head. And I'll also show you that what a hood looks like. And then, of course, I have some IT solutions like applications in people's cell phones and on computers to maintain social distance, and a few other personal protective equipments, including hospitals that are made up of tents and so on and so forth. And I'm going to use one more slide and then I'm going to pause. And those of you who are thinking that his accent is not fully understandable, his graphics are not good, I apologize to all of you on my behalf. This is my first gig doing something like this. This graphics are going to be terrible, not exciting. Video quality also may not be excellent. I have checked audio and it should be acceptable, but again, there might be some background noise in that. And my accent, as I mentioned, I was born in the Indian subcontinent, comes from the Indian subcontinent, and may be hard for a small percentage of people to understand, but I'll try to talk as slowly and as clearly as possible. But if you struggle through the above difficulties with me and have some patience, I promise you the concepts I explain will save many, many lives. So please be patient. This presentation is made for general audience. Those of you who are scientists and doctors, please be patient. There would be material for your interests, advocating on your behalf. And we are going to try to limit these videos to somewhere from 12 to 15 minutes, because most people usually are not happy watching videos of 2 or 3 hours, and this whole presentation might end up being that. So for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and we'll catch up with the next video.